So here we are at Aldershot, ready for my combat stress march in March, and I'm stood just in front of the Wellington Memorial Monument even, and the idea is to get myself up to Flagstaff and then from there back down and then hopefully back up again, but without the Bergen, and then a little walk down towards Queen's Avenue. Looking forward to it. So this is a bit we all love to hate. Coming up to the hills on the way up to Flagstaff now. So we're going up the rear south side, because that's a little bit easier for old geezers to get up, and you'll see shortly, you'll see the landmark tree that everybody loves to see when they're halfway through a tab. So we just come up there. As we walk along the ridge towards Caesar's Camp, Flagstaff summit, you can kind of see down into the valley across at Farnborough Airport, and then churches towards Aldershot. It's a nice misty day, cool and refreshing. This is the last steep bit. Get the old heart going. Whew. So for those who don't know, I was born in 1962 and I'll be 62 this year. So for me this is 62/62. And I'm a very lucky guy to have made it this far, because almost 10 years ago now I was struck down by the dreaded sea, survived it just, only to get it 5 years later in the lung. But they chopped that bit out, kicked me out of the hospital the next day. Well, actually I walked out, didn't want to stay there any longer than pos, and this year hopefully I'll be back in remission. So happy days. So there's the ridge summit, if you want to call it that, and this is the last bit of the climb to get up onto that plateau. So I'm just walking into camp now. Caesar's Camp. It's a little less windy than it was the other day when I did the recce. I'm pretty impressed with these seats that have been brought up here, purpose made by lads from the Parachute Regiment, and there's a few guys that must sit up here looking back across the valley, Long Valley, and thinking about the amount of sweat and blood in some circumstances they left on that training ground. But the thing is, it's the training areas like this that enable guys to get into theatre and to hack it out. Aye, amazing. So I'm kind of getting used to using this video malarkey. And as you can probably see, I'm at the top of Caesar's Camp, Flagstaff. It's quite awe-inspiring really. When I look down the sheer face here, down into that gorse, kind of reminds me of the lads all sweating, shouting at each other, being shouted at, and trying to get up this hill with all your equipment on, and sometimes even with somebody on your back for a limited period. Yeah, makes you think about those that did all of that and then either didn't come back or they came back and then they didn't want to be back. It's thought-provoking for sure. Just give you my view. The next leg. Me again. So I've just done a replan back at the car park, RV1, and I bumped into a guy called Jim Adams who was down here with his daughter, and in his own words, making the last visit back to Aldershot. He'd served 22 years down here, and as far as he's concerned, he's just come down from Yorkshire. And Jim said that he probably wouldn't make it back here again, which is sad. So I told him what I was doing, and he very kindly put £30 into the pot for either of the charities, whichever I want to put it into. So that's very kind of him. I really appreciate that. And now I'm just going to start making my way back up to Flagstaff again for visit 2. I've obviously lightened the load a little bit and had some fuel into the boiler. Cheers guys, thanks. So here we are, back up the top again. Caesar's Camp, Flagstaff, and I've just spotted a bit of metalled road that you see down in the valley there, which, if I remember rightly, was either where we started or finished or both the stretcher race, which was 7 miles up and down all these little hills here, and it was pretty gut-wrenching, but massive sense of achievement if you finished that all in one piece. I can't help but think about a couple of the guys that I was on that one of those P companies with, Stevie Tickle, who's no longer with us, and a couple of other guys, Angus McMillan, who left us last year unexpectedly out of the blue. I'm not saying they had demons related to this, but you know, I think once you leave the forces and you find your feet in Civvy Street, you get married, all the stresses of the rat race, I think you don't have that escape and ability to exhaust some of those inner feelings that you could do without. But here I am. So my call sign for this year is 62/62, and the reason for that is that this will be my 62nd year on the planet, and I was born in 1962. Typical OCD. Cheers guys, I'll see you at the bottom. Okay, well that's the March in March complete. 10 miles today. I have to say it was getting a little bit sore on the feet one way or another, and the knees, but it's done. It's well worth it, especially meeting Jim Adams as well, who turns out to have been James Moran's CSM back in the day in the 70s, which is quite amazing. So I'm on to my next challenge for the day, which is my sleep out in Weybridge, the Great Tommy Sleep Out. I've got what looks like a Belisha beacon tent of a tent, smart tent. It's all orange, so hopefully I don't get arrested for pretending to be a Just Stop Oil protester, which I'm obviously not. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, thanks for staying with me. Please donate if you haven't already, be much appreciated. This thing kind of runs to the end of March one way or another, but I'm happy that that's done today. Cheers guys.
Bye.